Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. Today we're revisiting Indie Corner, and today we're going to be covering Mother Russia, a comic book from a company called Alterna Comics. It's an interesting 3-issue story, and if you like it, I'll give you all the links to buy it and other Alterna comics down below. Many things were brought to Stalingrad in the fall of 1943. War, destruction, death. But the sounds of guns, they've gone silent, and they're only replaced by the moans of the shambling undead. Well, mostly. As another pack of zombies wanders aimlessly in the ruins of the city, a faint pop can be heard, and then a sudden squishing as the bullet shoots through one of the zombies' heads. Across the way in the bell tower, a woman lowers her rifle and adds another notch to the wall. Sighing, she puts her gun down and she begins her daily routine. First, she sits to eat breakfast and then brushes her hair, and then works out and finally reads before starting all over again. As the sun comes up the next morning, she wonders to herself, why does she do this? And when she looks at the pictures of Joseph Stalin, she remembers. As the new day comes, the woman loads her rifle, sitting at her perch and taking aim. She looks through her scope, not targeting her fellow comrades, but as she moves to the German soldier, she notices something else in that group. A small child. She watches the child walk through the crowds, and when he trips, he drops his doll, and his eyes begin to water. The woman quietly says, "Don't even think about it." But as she expects, the young boy starts to cry. Suddenly, there's not just one pop, but several, and soon followed by the same squishing sounds of several heads being blown apart. However, the horde of zombies continue to make their way to the boy, and the woman grabs her machine gun and her rope, jumping out of the bell tower. She slides down it, opening fire on the group, clearing herself a path to the crying boy. When she runs out of bullets, she ducks through with outstretched arms, reaching for him with ease, making her way to the boy. But just before the pack can maul him, the woman runs in, grabbing him by the back of his coat, taking out her pistol, trying to make it back. But that's when she finds herself backed into a corner. She realizes she only has 2 bullets left, and there's a lot more zombies to kill. She pulls the hammer back on her gun, telling the boy she's sorry. At least she tried. But just as she holds the gun to the boy's head, a growling sound can be heard. Just then, a large German shepherd jumps through the crowd, ripping and biting at the necks of the zombies. As the zombies start to look at the dog, the bullets begin to spray through the zombies' heads, and a man with an eye patch calls out to the woman. He tells her, "This way, comrade!" And the woman pauses. He looks at her and he tells her, "What the hell are you waiting for? Hurry up into the alley." The woman holds the boy close as she begins to run down the alleyway, and as the man continues to fire into the crowds, the man says that he will be right behind her. Once the woman is clear, he shouts Hildy, and then calls for the dog in a hurry in German. The dog, Hildy, darts through the crowds into the alleyway, and the man turns back, throwing a German grenade into the group. As the man follows behind, he tells the woman to go, and she stops when she gets to the opening. He says that they need to just get through the courtyard, and the woman looks at the group of zombies, asking, "Through this?" And the man tells her that there's a safe place. Just follow the dog. Hildy begins to run through, and the woman follows closely behind, but as the woman reaches the door that the dog is pointing to, it's locked. She jiggles the handle, stating that it's locked, and the man shouts, "Of course it's locked! It's the end of the world! Now step inside!" He puts his key into the door, and after turning the lock, he throws his shoulder into it to open it. Once he and Hildy are through, the woman hurries in and locks the door once again. The man says that if they hurry, they can get to where they need to be just before dark. And the woman stops, telling him that he has a rather interesting accent, comrade. Odessa with just a hint of Bavarian. The man stops, telling her that it's very impressive, Frau. Frau points her pistol at the man, asking, "You know me?" And the man says, "Of course. You are what they call the sniper. Svetlana Gorshkova, Mother Russia." Frau then notices the insignia on the man's uniform, stating that he's a German soldier. The man holds his hands up, stating that every German in Stalingrad who stuck their head out from behind good cover knows who you are. However, if you're going to shoot me, then all I ask is that you look after my dog. Frau says that he's got to be kidding, a Nazi? And the man says that Hildy is a good dog and not a very committed National Socialist, at least as far as I can tell. Soon the bangs on the door can be heard, and Frau asks if he's a Nazi that speaks Russian, and the man says that he can understand her concern. Not a day goes by that he doesn't wish that it was French or Italian. He could be out sunbathing in the Riviera instead, but instead it's Russia, in Stalingrad, a place so awful that the world ended and they hardly noticed. Frau holds her gun up, asking, why did he save her? And the man says that he didn't. Hildy did, and then he saved her. The banging starts to get louder, and the man says that the door isn't going to hold for much longer. There's a safe place that we can get to if you'd like. She tells him not to try anything and to keep his hands to himself. Now move. The man then leads Frau and the boy to his hideout, and as Frau walks in, she notices several pairs of boots by the door. She points her gun at the man, asking whose boots are those, and the man takes out a cigarette, stating, they belong to the men who are no longer here. The man thinks back to that group of men, and he says that it was a disappointment. Shortly after, we parted ways. The man lights a cigarette, stating that now he's going to ask politely, please stop pointing that gun at me. Fra tells him that she doesn't care if he saved them, he's still a fascist. The man exhales, stating, fascist, communist. I'm starting to think that those things no longer matter. The war is over. We've all lost. Serves us right, I suppose. Fra stares at the man and asks, what does she call him? And the man says, how dreadful of me. He snaps his boots into place, stating that I am Major Otto Steiner, 6th Army, Rumkocht. And this dog is Broomhilde. It's a pleasure to meet you. What is your son's name? Fra says that he is not her son. She just found him today, and Otto asks, do you plan on keeping him? And Fra says that she guesses so. Otto then goes on asking, do you have any experience with childcare? And as the boy cries out, Fra says, no, not really, do you? The boy cries again, and Otto says that it's been a while, but give him here. Otto hands him back, stating he's hungry, and I'm afraid I didn't really save any. We've been scrounging for weeks with no luck. We haven't eaten in 4 days. Otto takes out a cigarette, stating, we are starving. Unfortunately, I may have only delayed your inevitable. But Fra holds out a can of pork and beans, and Otto begins to smile. Fra tells him that it's American pork and beans, and Otto says that he doesn't suppose that she's going to share, is she? Fra tells him it depends. Do you have a can opener? As the moon comes out, Otto smells the cooking food and says, thank you for sharing. And Fra tells him actually it belonged to the boy. Someone stuffed it in his jacket. Some time begins to pass while everyone eats, and Fra says, so you were an intelligence officer? Otto takes a bite, telling her, that is correct. And Fra then asks, do you know what happened? Otto sighs, stating, not so much. I was stationed at an outpost just outside of the city. In the fall of 42, we started getting strange orders from Berlin. Things like burn your dead, stop eating meat rations, rabies outbreaks along the front, but then nothing. We had a good setup, so we waited. And soon after that, they started to show up. A few German, but mostly Russian. By winter, we still had not heard from Berlin, and my general left to Berlin personally to get answers. But we've not heard from him either. A short while after that, we had our first incident in the camp, and that's when Berlin's message started to make sense. Stalin's 3rd Army eventually found us, and all 73,000 of them were hungry. My superior fell apart, and I relieved him of his command and rallied the soldiers myself. We pushed our way through the city, and all that's left now is Hilde and me. Otto lights up another cigarette, and Fra asks, do you see that tower? About 635 meters out? Otto says, what about it? And Fra tells him, that's her tower. That's where she's been living. It's stocked to the ceiling with bullets, books, food, everything that she scrounged up over 11 months. There's only one way up, a rope they have to climb. If he can help her, and the little one up there, she'll load him with as much as he can carry. Otto and Hilde stare at Fra. Fra says that he can stay there until midwinter and wait until they all freeze, and after that, he's gonna have to find a new place. Otto says, I will help on one condition. Brunhilde comes too. Fra pauses and says that's a deal. Any thoughts on how we're going to pull it off? The open courtyard and flattened buildings are going to be a problem. Maybe we can sneak through them? Otto says, no, if we step foot in a building, we will die. We've stirred them up today. We'll wait for them to give us an opening. Out in the open, they are not so tough. It's just a matter of knocking them down. Fra says, what does he mean by knock them down? And Otto flicks his cigarette into one of the zombies, stating, Blitzkrieg. We make a hole and we make it wide. Fra asks, with what? All she has with her is a pistol with 2 bullets, and Otto says, follow me. Otto leads Fra back in, and as he opens up the door, he says, food is scarce, but we did find enough ordnance lying around to open up the 3rd front. Fra looks at the wall of weapons and asks when, and Otto tells her first thing in the morning. Cold makes them sluggish. It looks like we're having snow tonight. The next morning, Otto says that he will open up the hole to the tank, and once she's there, she will provide cover fire for him until he reaches it. After that, they'll see which direction to move, but are you sure that's all you need? Otto, who's wearing several guns and racks of bullets, stares at Fra, who still only has a single rifle. She says that she'll be fine. All that machine gun can do is waste ammo and slow him down. Otto opens the door, throwing a cluster grenade out, stating, perhaps it'll make me feel better. As the grenades go off, Otto asks, shall we dance? And Fra tells him after him. Otto opens up the door and lays down, starting to fire into the crowds, creating an opening to the tank. He then laughs, stating, this machine gun just made you a nice path straight to the tank. After you. Get moving and don't look back. Fra tells him to make sure that thing doesn't get him killed, and begins to run. Otto looks at Hilde, stating in German, she meant the gun, I'm pretty sure. Fra starts shooting at the zombies, slowly beginning to move in, and once she gets to the tank, she shouts, asking, what did I say? And Otto walks through the zombies, calling, yeah, we're coming. As Otto continues to shoot, he notices Hilde isn't around and he's running low on ammo. Otto then throws his gun after it's been calling for Hilde, and as he does, Hilde jumps, attacking one of the zombies. As the zombie grabs onto him, Otto headbutts it off, stating, damn it, I should just stay with me. As Otto begins to get closer, Fra yells, stating that she found a new hole, and Otto reloads one of his guns, telling her to push towards the tower they're right behind her. Fra pulls the pins on 2 grenades that she's carrying, throwing them back into the crowd, and begins to run. As Otto begins to run himself, he begins to hear a yelp from Hilde, and he spins back around, charging at the zombies that hurt his dog. He takes out a grenade, cracking it across the back of the head of a zombie, and soon the group swarms around Hilde. Otto dives right into the middle of the group, unloading a full clip, picking up Hilde and beginning to follow Fra. Fra continues to run and shoot, and as she gets close to the tower, she jumps to the back of one of the zombies, leaping up to the rope that she has left. As she begins to climb up, she sees sees a German soldier who climbed the rope sleeping there. She steps in and the man shouts, "Get out, I found it here!" And Fra grabs her pistol, and as she does, the soldier lunges at her, hitting her, knocking the gun out the window. The soldier grabs Fra by the face, and as she stares at him, she headbutts him, kicking him back. She then grabs one of the cans of food, jumping on the soldier, beating him over and over until he stops moving. As Fra leans back, she sighs, looking at the can, stating, "Pork and beans." After setting the boy down, Fra drags the man over to the window and throws his body out. She then grabs her rifle, loading in a new clip, and begins to shoot through the window. One of the zombies' heads pops next to Otto, and he says that he was starting to think that she had forgotten about him. He runs to the rope and ties Hildy to it, shouting, "She's ready to go! Pull her up!" And Fra yells, "She can't pull her up and cover him!" And Otto shouts, "We had the deal you promised!" Soon after, Hildy begins to rise up slowly, and in her mouth is the boy's lost doll. Otto takes out his knife and begins stabbing all that he can, but as the horde grabs a hold of him, he pulls out one last grenade, pulling the pin. The explosion goes off at the base of the tower, and as Fra looks down, she turns back and sighs with a kind of creepy smile. She pulls her gun down, looking at the boy and Hildy, asking, "How about some breakfast?" All right, so now that that's completed, personally, I really enjoyed this storyline, and I really do apologize for my butchered accent. It wasn't Russian, it wasn't German, it was just me talking kind of sternly. It was interesting. So I apologize to anybody I may have offended with that. I do want to say Alterna Comics has been hitting me up for quite a while. Well, not them, but like the fans of the comic books, and I've always kind of ignored them. They like to run off of the concept of newspaper comics. They make their comic books cheaper so that you can buy them cheaper and enjoy the storylines cheaper. I don't know if it's because of how many comics I see, but that always struck me as lower tier comics. I'm not gonna lie. When you come to me and say, "Oh, we found a way to make our comic books cheaper," I look at it and go, "Well, there must be a reason. Your story must not be that good." Well, I finally sat down and read a bunch of Alterna comic books just to see if my opinion was accurate. And guys, oh my God, was I wrong. This company picks out some super awesome independent books. They get some super awesome storylines, and I am so happy that I was wrong about this, and I can tell you guys all about Alterna Comics at this point. This is 100% not a paid plug at all. No, I literally just, they hit me up one time, and I saw one of them responding, and I was like, "Hey, I'll check out your comics finally." And I started with Mother Russia, and I went down to Trespasser, and I just started going down the rabbit hole. Their stuff is amazing, and the fact that they are getting that as the newspaper print, that's actually a really good deal, which is the exact opposite of what I thought. So I apologize to all the Alterna fans that I've always just kind of shuffled that off to the side considering it cheapo comics, because it's not. They're awesome, and you should go to your local comic book store and tell them you want Alterna Comics, and go check them out on Comixology to get them digitally. I'll see you guys next time right here.